Waste Management by Daniel Tice and
Corey Stirk.
Will. What is nuclear waste?
Nuclear waste is any material or waste that contains some form of radioactivity. They're generally created as byproducts from nuclear power as well as any other waste produced by nuclear fission or nuclear technology, such as nuclear research and nuclear medicine, chemotherapy.
Nuclear waste is generally hazardous to all living matter and beings, such as animals and humans. This is why government agencies regulate nuclear waste to prevent any major issues or hazards, such as Godzilla or Chernobyl. Three general principles are thought of when referring to radioactive waste: concentrate and contain, dilute and disperse, delay and decay. Dangerous.
Nuclear waste is extremely dangerous because quite obviously it's radioactive and has the ability to ionize and cause serious damage to organic matter. Considering most radioactive materials have extremely long half-lives, that's another factor that adds to the danger. Due to this, the radioactive waste must be isolated from anything it can harm.
Radioactive waste, like uranium, can take millions of years to decay. This is a picture of Chernobyl, a town in Russia where a nuclear fallout has caused this town to be non-livable for any life. Preferred methods of containing radioactive waste. Recycling. Recycling is, as it states, radioactive isotopes and waste are recycled and reused. Despite the fact this isn't very cost effective, it is very handy because radioactive isotopes with high half-lives, such as plutonium and uranium, can then be reused in other industries. For instance, space agencies are finding a way to utilize used isotopes from nuclear plants to fuel for the space shuttles and drones. Spent fuel pools.
High-level radioactive or nuclear waste is spent uranium fuel used in nuclear reactors. The spent fuel is thermally hot and highly radioactive, usually in the form of uranium-235 contained in ceramic pellets inside metal rods. America stores most of its rods in cool fuel pools. This is by no means the safest method, but a more cost-effective one. It is stored in larger water-cooled pools outside the nuclear power plants.
Water can conveniently provide both cooling and shielding, so typical reactors will have the fuel removed underwater and transferred to its storage into the pool. After about 5 years, it can be transferred into a dry, ventilated concrete containers, but otherwise it can safely remain in the pool indefinitely, usually for about 50 years. This was a method used at the Fukushima plant in Japan that leaked, causing a nuclear fallout. Spent fuel pools are a safe method as long as you can ensure that the containers that it is stored in will not break or rupture due to earthquakes or any other natural causes. So until we can find a safe way, we better think of some other methods. But this is definitely a method we should not think about. Banned methods, such as dumping.
A banned method of nuclear waste management is quite obviously dumping. Over 10 countries between the 1940s and 2000s used ocean dumping as a method to get rid of their nuclear waste. Although, due to the risk and danger, it was banned in 1993, but this did not stop some countries from still using it. A common area was off the coast of Somalia due to their lack of government in the 90s.
The Russian government also dumped some 17,000 containers of radioactive waste in the Arctic Ocean, accumulating to 749 trillion becquerels of waste. To put this into perspective, Fukushima released 181 trillion becquerels and Chernobyl 105 trillion becquerels. This was a lot of nuclear waste dumped into the ocean. This is a banned method due to its irreversible effects on the environment. Recently, it has been thrown into the air that due to Australia having the safest remote areas in the world, we should allow the rest of the world to dump their waste in our country, whilst bringing in a descent. This will also bring in a very good income for Australia. Management in Australia.
Although Australia doesn't use radioisotopes for electricity, it does use them for medical purposes, research and industry. These isotopes are generally manufactured at one agency, Lucas Heights in Sydney.
In Australia, 92% of our nuclear waste is low level. Waste radioactivity is measured on two factors, half-life and becquerels per second. Material with a long half-life and high becquerel rating would be considered the most dangerous form of nuclear waste. Due to Australia's waste mostly being low-level waste, they can be stored in ANSTO plants. Low-level waste is things like plastics. It is shredded and compressed into 200-litre drums which are safely stored on site. The contact dose of 2 millisieverts per hour and above is used to distinguish between low and intermediate wastes. Conclusion. Nuclear waste will always be a problem as long as nuclear power is used, and will always be a danger until we can find a scientific method that will protect us.
So, nuclear waste will always be potentially harmful until we find a method that is completely safe.
But until then, we may end up with more Godzillas.
Thank you for listening.